looks like we have a quorum. So I'm going to call the joint meeting for the Rules and Open Government Committee and Committee of the Whole to order. And Tony, can you take roll call, please?
Arenas?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Peralez?
Here.
Jones?
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to start out with the agenda for April 13th. And we are going to start on pages 4 and 5. Pages 6 and 7. Pages 8 and 9. Pages 10 and 11. And you can see where the items in section 6 are to be heard at 4 p.m. Okay, so 10 and 11, 12 and 13, 14 and 15, 16 and 17, 18 and 19, 20 and 21, 22 and 23, and page 24. And there's also an add sheet. I'm going to go to the public for public comments, and Blair Beekman. Go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Happy April. I guess to mention you're doing things, some COVID things and water things next week. That'll be important to talk about water issues. To address COVID issues and employment ideas. I'm trying to figure out from my words from yesterday were a little long, but I was trying to figure out my words about issues, and we have really good ideas within government to help everyday community at this time, but sometimes we have to hold back. And I'm wondering what can be that process where government and community work together to bring those next steps of ideas through to really helps people. And with the attentions that when people are being hurt, that's when to really bring in government funding and government help. And for a community to be learning how they can be accepting of that and trusting of that. And that's a lot. I think there's an issue about earthquake retrofitting and subsidies. And that's an item on the next week's agenda. 5 years ago, I think that ran up against a lot of pushback with, with all the housing tenant rent things we were working on. But at the same time, Jackie was trying to say that if you work those earthquake retrofit subsidy programs, that can fully help tenants pay for costs, a lot of costs, and that's savings to the tenants, and it's savings for everybody, and it's a really interesting way to work. And I think now we can be more understanding, accepting of that with all the things that we're going to have to face in the next 5 to 10 years. I hope we just are really working well together as a community, and government knows how to organize ourselves and work with us in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, to address the issues with the agenda items with respect to
the police department. There is a lawsuit right now on the desk for the death of the execution. I will not say the death, the execution of David Tobar. Okay, the officers decided amongst themselves, we are going to be judge, jury, and executioner, and we're going to murder this human being in cold blood in front of his entire community. And the bullet holes are still going to be in the walls after we've left. This is right here. We're going to get to a precipice where the council is going to have to make very concrete, very clear decisions as to where it is that they are going to stand in terms of being representatives of the people. Because POA and Paul Kelly represent that faction and absolutely nothing more. They do not represent the interest, the safety, and the security of the everyday citizen. They propose that ostensibly, but practically, it is in the preservation of that system and to perpetuate that into the future is their priority. That is their goal. So, with respect to the issues regarding the police and some of the op-eds that are starting to come out, there's going to have to be very clear guidance and very clear positions that the council will have to take so that the citizens understand clearly where it is that you stand on these particular issues as representatives of the people.
Thank you, Paul. Bringing it back to the committee.
Move approval, including the ad sheet.
Second.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the next agenda for Tuesday, April 20th. And we will start on pages 4 and 5. Pages 6 and 7. Pages 8 and 9. Pages 10 and 11. And there's not an ad sheet for this agenda, so I'm going to go to the public. And we're going to start out with Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The issues with respect to this agenda is we're moving in a point where we're putting a lot of band-aids over a lot of what we want to constitute and consider COVID-related issues. These are not COVID-related issues. The only thing that COVID did was to highlight and to bring into full relief that which has been neglected by this council. I'm not talking about anybody in the contemporary sense. I'm talking about historically. By this council and the county of Santa Clara. Because the facilitation of the exploitation of the Bracero program and all of the injustices, because if you look at the redlining map in the Bracero program, hello, they both coincide. They both coincide. So we have here the evidence. Now, no longer can we amuse ourselves and entertain ourselves that we're just taking a particular political position on one side or the other with respect to the historical injustices that have happened here. A lot of the council, a lot of the agenda items are to deal with the symptoms of the generational deprivation of wealth and resources in varios that I can, that I am directly connected to. I'm a descendant of those varios. In my body, in my mind, in my life experience, I have every single racist, systemic, institutionalized policy in my body, in my personality, and in my spirit. I'm infected with it, and I will never heal from it. I can get better, but I will never heal, ever. And we need a very clear position from the council to articulate that the city and the county is 100% culpable in those tragedies.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi, to follow up a bit on Paul's words and to note that item 3.3 next week is a dropped item, or 2 weeks from now is a dropped item about reimbursement of food and necessities distribution services. So that technically falls under COVID issues. And I wanted to quickly try to offer, I think I said what I needed to say in my first public comment, and I wanted to wrap up with a good conclusion. And just, I feel we have a month to go before we have another month before to really get over the next hurdle of COVID cases. There's a new strain going around. We have to be really wary of that. We're not at a free pass stage yet. And we have to be, really considering that, keep the mask use up, wash the hands, all that good stuff. And what I meant to end with in my last public comment was just that I hope as, city government, in May and in the coming months and in May with your budget reports and things, that you really plan to share new organizational ideas and new ways of practices with the community, and what can be funding ideas to share with the community, and how to make that process safe and understandable, and how we learn to work that. I know you're making your attempts, and it takes work to do that, but to make that clear for all of us, and for all of us to have good understandings, I hope we can do that. And it takes effort and skill and practice. And my goal is that people don't get hurt, and how we work to do that is the key. And and that's how we have dialogue about upcoming issues around COVID and business practices, and from that good work, that's how we help the economy and rebuild the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee, Councilmember Cohen.
And just a question, item 3.6, campaign finance study session. Since this may have been mentioned before I was here, what's the scope and purpose of that agenda item?
Oh, I have the language sent to the attorney's office. We just didn't get it back in time for me to post it, so I can get that language to you. It's a fairly extensive look at campaign finance reform. It was from a memo from Council Member Jimenez last year.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's based on recommendations from his memo. It's not a more general conversation.
Yeah,
it's
kind of both. So
okay.
A presentation addressing the items that he specifically requested staff to research, and it's broadly open for you to discuss campaign finance.
Okay, thank you. So I'll move the adoption of the agenda for. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We are looking at also having a campaign finance expert at that meeting. We still haven't figured out exactly how it might work. We might have him do a little bit of a presentation just to give everybody the background on the case law and financing to the extent people aren't familiar with it, or simply have him available to answer questions. Not all of the issues were campaign finance, but they all generally related to campaign finance. There were some campaign communication questions also. So.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, I guess I'll wait to see the more details on the agenda. Okay, I'll move the adoption of the April 20th agenda.
Second.
Great, it's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is meeting schedules, City of San Jose and County of Santa Clara Joint Committee meeting. And I'm gonna look to see if anyone from the public wants to speak on that, and I see a hand raised. Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Is this with respect to the leader, Councilwoman Carrasco's memos?
This is in respect to, yes, the joint meeting that.
Oh, okay, no, that's between the county and the city. No, on the
County and
next one.
city,
Thank you,
yes.
thank you, Vice Mayor.
Okay. All right. I see no other hands raised, so bring it back to the committee.
Move approval.
Right.
Second.
And Councilmember Reyes, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to invite everyone, not only the PISFIS committee is invited, but because this is a committee of the whole, just like rules is, then everyone's allowed to partake in the meeting. And so I hope that you all can make it on April 29th at 1 p.m. This is our third meeting in which we're talking about sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking, child abuse, and looking at system improvements, giving updates, and just having really good conversations on how to improve that for survivors. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you again, Councilmember Reyes, for your leadership on this issue. All right, Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next is the public record. And we have one public speaker. Blair, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Just unmuted there. To try to offer, I'm not out to play gotcha at all, but I'm learning that a few simple explanations, ideas, and examples can help build community trust. I guess to start maybe more at the beginning, I'm hoping that, can someone write back to myself, perhaps on a singular individual level, why new Police Chief Mata was possibly chosen over former Assistant Police Chief Larry Sherrado. I'm not out to play gotcha. I am learning that a few simple explanations, ideas, and examples can help build community trust, and how to also build good community spirit, as some may be very disheartened at this time. I feel any individual words from someone at this time can help in the effort towards an eventually more unified good community purpose. I hope someone can write back to myself about this issue. I'll be trying to address a letter to ask more formally in the coming weeks, and I think it can really help in the efforts. Why was someone like an insider status of Anthony Mata chosen over the outsider status of Larry Sherrado? To explain that reasoning can do a lot, I think, for what we can expect in the coming months and years as a community, and what we can work towards and think about. And thanks for your time. I hope we can help in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick.
Good afternoon, members of the Rules Committee. I'm Frederick Ferrer and have the honor of serving as the chair of the Charter Review Commission. I want to assure you that our 23-member commission is deeply engaged in the work. We've completed numerous in-depth study sessions over the research and best practices of governance structures, as well as the history and current language of our city charter and our 1985 predecessor commission. We're in our final study sessions and are about to begin the drafting and deliberating on recommendations as we prepare for our public hearings, with our goal to bring a majority and minority reports to recommendations to the council. From the beginning of this process, we have heard very clearly and repeatedly from commissioners and the public the critical need to have intentional, engaged public processes. As we've studied other cities and review processes, we've seen the substantial financial commitments in cities such as Portland and Detroit that they've made to ensure a widespread public engagement process in their charter reviews. Our commission has spent some time hearing best practices for community engaged processes. We've looked at ways in which we can incorporate these processes. We've been offered the support of our community action program, Sacred Heart Community Services, to offer their support services pro bono. We've also considered best ways to utilize existing city resources, and we've engaged a graduate student intern. We've also developed an extensive matrix of stakeholder targets that commissioners themselves will reach out to. I respectfully request, at the direction of our commission, additional financial resources as outlined in my letter to support a transparent, public engaged review process. And I thank you on behalf of the commission for your consideration.
Thank you. And we're going to take up your letter during the committee discussions. So we will tackle it then. Partnership for Working Families.
I apologize. I haven't been able to figure out how to have my own name rather than the name of my day job employer show up. This is Ellie Matsumura. Apologies again for that. Many thanks to the Rules Committee for receiving this important communication from the public and the commissions and the council and mayor for establishing the Charter Review Commission. I am a member of the commission. Thank you to Council Member Perales for the nomination and the council for the appointment, and just wanted to support the letter of the commission and our chair in the comments that he just made. All the particulars of my comments are my own. This is the first charter review since 1985. Charter Review Commission, and our city and world have changed dramatically since then. And it's frankly appropriate that this commission is taking place, in a time of the racial reckoning, as well as COVID, because the rules of how we run government have never been more important. And our commission has adopted commitments to apply an equity lens to the charter, but that question is extremely challenging. There's no section in the charter that says this is the section where we fail at equity. And so it's a very hard question for the public to analyze. It's a very hard question for the commission to analyze how we can address our equity challenges in San Jose through the charter, but we have to seize this opportunity to do it well, to carry out the responsibility given to us by the council, and also because this will go to the ballot, and we want to make sure that we've got public engagement, robust public engagement all the way through, so that anything that we bring to the voters has really already thoroughly been vetted by the communities who are most affected by this issue. So I did hear the rules chair say that this is going to be taken up further. I'm hoping perhaps this could be referred for action next week. And thank you again for your consideration of the issue today, as well as for the action of yourselves and the full council and mayor in establishing the commission.
Thank you. Paul?
Yes, this is Paul Soto, and I have attended many of the charter review committees, and this is the problem. The basis for the city charter is 1850. That's when it was drafted. That's the start point. In 1850, California was still the state capital, the first state capital of California under the United States via James Polk and Peter Burnett. Now, we already know that the decapitations, and this is factual, the decapitations were occurring at that time that this city charter was drafted and ratified. So within it is such a vile, disgusting, inhumane, indifferent, and apathetic response to what these human beings were doing that established all of the wealth that is here in San Jose. All of it. Every single thing that you look at and see is infected with that virus that started in 1850 at the charter, at the beginning of the charter. Now, with respect to what Ms. Matsumura had stated, I can identify it. I am a California registered native Mission Indian. I have birth certificates dating my lineage to 1821 in California. I've been 6 generations. The 6th generation was just recently born. Celestino, he's my nephew. He's going to be bad. He's going to be versed in physics by the time he's 7. And so this is the tragedy. is that the city itself does not have the humility to reckon with its own history in order to establish the fact that we have, by policy, have continued to decimate Mexican populations in order to further the wealth of the Anglos in the city. And that includes Dillabo, that includes J. Paul, that includes Eric Hayden, and that includes John Arriaga.
Thank you. Roma?
Thank you, Vice Mayor and my council member. Some of you know me and know that I have worked for a number of city council members dating all the way back to the 80s. I can't begin to count the number of commission meetings, subcommittee meetings I've attended over the years. I just finished 6 years on the Arts Commission. I want to tell you that it has been excruciatingly painful to watch these Charter Review Commission meetings. This is a very sadly under-resourced commission. And it's more than just money. I believe they need access to city staff that can explain the realities of what works now, how things operate. They didn't evidently have an orientation at the beginning, and they're still struggling with many things like who the city attorney reports to. I heard at the last meeting, people talk about how the mayor proposes the budget. The mayor doesn't propose the budget. We all know that. Finally, Bob Brownstein had to step forward, Mayor Hammer's former budget director, and say, oh, by the way, the city manager has a budget office. So I just am pleading with you to expedite Mr. Ferrer's letter to the city council. And again, to just tag somebody to make sure that this commission group gets all the tools it needs to do a good job. It's a good, diverse group, diverse in backgrounds as well as ethnicity, and they'll do a great job for you, but they need more tools at their disposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Bring it back to the committee. Councilmember Arenas.
Thank you, Chair. I was actually going to make a motion to pull this item, and I think it's on page 48 of the public record. And I just want to thank Commissioner Ferrer, Dawson, and Matsumoto for calling in, as well as my own Commissioner for District 8, Jeremy Burrows, who also alerted me to this and flagged this issue for me. And so I'd love for the Rules Committee to have an opportunity to discuss it. It's alarming to know that there isn't enough resources for this very important revision of our charter. And I think they outlined to have outside legal counsel, to have consultants to provide qualitative research, outreach to 10 community-based organizations, and translation of commission documents, interpretation at meetings. And so I think those items seem to be very fundamental to making sure that they have some level of success, which we all are hoping for. And so, so I'd like to move that, as well as move on page 42, the Youth Commission also submitted a letter, and this is updating the Bill of Rights for children and youth. And this was approved by the city of San Jose 10 years ago by actually the Youth Commission bringing it forward. And so what they've done is done a review of the Bill of Rights and have had a conversation about this and a revision for one of those articles. And so with that, they just want to make sure that it is updated to reflect the youth of today and their perspective. And so the motion is to move the item on page 48 of Public Record Charter Review Commission, as well as the item on page 42 for the Youth Commission and the Bill of Rights.
Just for clarification, council member, so is your motion to move those
to
two
bring
items
it back to next week's
next week?
rules agenda? I
Okay.
apologize. Yes.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify. All right,
I'll second that.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see no other hands, and it's been moved and seconded. So Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
That motion included accepting the public record and in addition to moving those items to next week. Is that what that? Okay.
That was my interpretation.
All right.
All right, on to the next item. The VIBA Advisory Committee appointment. And I see a hand raised, or oh, actually it's down now.
Move
So
approval.
thank you. Can I get a second? All right, Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the consent calendar. And I see a hand raised from the public. Blair, go ahead.
Hi, the unmute function went into service finally. Hi, Blair Beekman here. You have a few dumpster day items that are on your agendas again, as you have been for the past few weeks now. And, you know, I find it really interesting and hopeful of your staff that they're doing this. And I think it's a way to describe, you know, what I've been trying to describe is that dumpster days can be a really important way to, on a Saturday morning, bring together all sides of a local neighborhood, you know, to dump their trash. And I think that can build some interesting concepts of, you know, how to deal with the homelessness issue and living in local neighborhoods, and that communication, developing those channels of communication are really important. The San Jose Spotlight just ran an article today about the worry of that. The trash is being left out on local neighborhood corners, and it's causing, you know, uproar and anger and worry, and also with RV issues as well, from RV persons. I've been mentioning the past few weeks also at this time that, you know, the city of Palo Alto has developed some really interesting humanistic ideas around, you know, its homeless population that parks and sleeps in their cars overnight in parking lots and neighborhoods. And it's really interesting stuff. Really check out the work of Palo Alto, what they're doing right now. It should be good stuff. The ACLU, meanwhile, is currently suing the city of Pacifica because they're having RV practices in Pacifica that are not too cool. And ACLU is pretty upset about that. So they can be an example of how not to move forward with our future RV questions and overall dumpster day issues. Good luck.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, Paul Soto, I wanted to speak to Councilwoman Carrasco's sponsorship of this meeting. I attended, and I'm very concerned about this perception of self-appointed leaders, of be they nonprofits, be they somebody on the east side, you know, so as a leader, because I don't know any leader that is qualified to be a leader that refers to himself as a leader. Any leader will always identify himself as a servant of the people, as a servant, and will accept no money in exchange for his service. Absolutely not $1. In fact, his energy and his consistency and his dedication to the cause is predicated upon the very privilege of being in a position to be an advocate for lineage that bore him. And I think this was articulated beautifully in his actions, was Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez had never made more than $6,000 in a year. His tax returns were produced at the end of his life. No more than $6,000, this man. He was buried in a pine box as a demonstration of his humanity in the service of his people. And so it just worries me and concerns me that there's this psychology that is being advocated that all kinds of people are leading, and I just don't know what they're leading or what qualifies.
Thank you, Paul. Bring it back to the committee.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the monthly report of activities for March 2021 from the city auditor.
Good afternoon, council members. Joe Roy, City Auditor. I'm here with our monthly report of activities for March of 2021. In March, we issued 3 reports. We issued our police staffing expenditures and workload audit, our advocate referrals audit, which you heard yesterday at council, as well as our status of open audit recommendations as of December 31st, 2020, which you heard, I believe, 2 weeks ago. The balance of our work plan is attached to the memo. I'm happy to answer any questions. I ask that you accept the report.
Great, thank you, Joe. And we have one public speaker, Blair.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. City audit issues this month they're working on as the past few months. Development fee, work in progress, COVID-19 expenditure document review, annual performance review of Team San Jose. And what's interesting to me is ideas of community clean energy risk management practices and Beautify SJ programming. So I wanted to talk about Beautify SJ programming. In terms of, there's going to be surveillance and technology that's involved with the audit. Hello? There's going to be, if I can continue.
Keep going, Blair.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Oh, great. I've got plenty of time here. There's going to be a lot of surveillance and technology that's involved with Beautify SJ things, or some at least. And I wanted, to make clear that, from the Smart Cities meeting last Thursday, bridging digital divide issues, 4 and 5G issues that are together. I mean, those are really important concepts. And with that 4 and 5G being placed, there's going to be a lot of new surveillance and data collection tech that's going to be involved with that. And it has to be just kind of acknowledged, basically. And I've been trying to find ways to say that, it really can be the time that, to make sure that we have open public policy ideas and practices that go along with all of that 4 and 5G. I mean, it's going to be helping out Vision Zero a lot as well. And again, for open public policies to be a part of that, it makes things whole for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
Thank you. I would go so far as to say that the role that Blair and I hold within the context of San Jose and the County of Santa Clara is to inject into the public record informed, educated, analyzed, and distilled concepts, ideas, perspectives, and forecasts. We prognosticate because we see the pieces moving into place. And the role that we have, it's an extremely heavy burden that I carry, because I carry it every day from the moment that I wake up to the moment that I go to sleep. Every single day. There is not one moment of my day that is not consumed with my responsibility and my duty to articulate these, what I'm receiving from my own spirit in the way that it communicates to me as a descendant of all of the tragedies that have befallen the state of California, specifically San Jose and Sauce Puedes. And so the technologies that Blair was speaking to, and the surveillance, that Google is not just some business that's coming here. They're connected to the CIA, they're connected to the Department of Defense, they're connected to, we haven't even articulated how far out of their boundary line, because they're gonna have a boundary line where their jurisdiction is gonna be in terms of the police, because it's not gonna be on San Carlos, no, it's going to extend out from there in terms of their policing their campuses. So we really need to start having these conversations now so we understand.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee, Councilmember Arenas. You're on mute. Councilmember Arenas?
I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't know what's happening to me today on not being able to press this button. Okay, I just really wanted to thank Joe for his report, his audit from yesterday on the referrals for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault and human trafficking. It was just very thorough. It really proved to be an opportunity for us to have some implementation of standards of practice that weren't there before. You know, I think that a lot of the times as departments, we feel like we know what's best because this is the way it's been done before, and probably because we learned a lesson out of it, and we just don't have it written down to memorialize and for others to pick up. And since we have a you know, about a 30% or a 35% new police force, this really will allow for that kind of training to come and for those folks to come on board and to learn the ways of those others who have this institutional knowledge, but it's not written down somewhere. So I just really wanted to thank you, take the opportunity to thank you for that. And we will be reporting that out in our meeting later on this month on the 29th. So just thank you so much for the audit and your thoughtfulness. And I'll make a motion to approve.
Great.
Second.
All right. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up is Santa Clara Valley Water District's efforts to develop purified water projects in Santa Clara County. And I see we have one public speaker. Blair, go ahead.
Hi, thanks a lot. Blair here. Really nice words by Paul Soto on that last item, that he really defined what we have to consider in the future of Google being in San Jose. Man, he really just said it, and that was great of him. Thank you for that. You know, for an item like this, I'm just trying to offer, I want to learn how to practice offering how to be sensitive and matter of fact. And sometimes it sounds a little too over the top, too progressive. And sometimes I get too excited about the subject matter. And I'm really sorry if that's the case. I'm going to be trying really hard to just simply explain the parameters of this situation. And just to make things self-explanatory, that's the kind of work that me and Paul try to do. And just so, you know, subjects that can be easier for ourselves to talk about. That's incredibly important. And it's hard to do that. And it takes effort and work. And thanks for your patience for us being able to do that. And I mean, that's all we're trying to do. I think from a progressive lens, I think we try to we try to share something that's fairly matter of fact, basically. And, I think with this issue, there's many issues involved that will possibly be considering how to raise the future of water rates. And you're going to be asking yourselves those water rate questions in terms of subsidies. I really feel that subsidies are going to play a major part in the future of rate hike questions. And you have to learn to talk to the community openly about that. And so we're not just going around all over the place going, there's rate hikes, there's this and that, this is awful, this is terrible. If you nail down the conversation, we're going to talk about the future of subsidies in San Jose and what all that entails. It's not all bread and roses subsidy issues, as much as I like it, and it's important as it is, and that everyone in low income should be allowed full subsidy protection at this time. It's a complex issue, and you just have to learn to openly start talking about that with the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Precisely what it is that Blair just stated is what is of importance. That where we are now is we are at a paradigm shift, culturally, economically, politically, and existentially. In San Jose and Santa Clara County, that has no precedent other than the time of manifest destiny in 1846. From that time till now, there has never been this kind of shift. Okay, and it's happening, and it's going to happen. Okay, and the council needs to accept the responsibility, because they have the council as a whole, as a city, has not confronted or reckoned with the historical injustices that created everything in the first place. You see, because once that is established, then it would facilitate your ability to inject into the public discourse and policy reflections of the city's acknowledgement of those injustices. See, because the infrastructure is getting rebuilt, the water is getting rebuilt, and I would caution that the corporation that bought the water company and that is going to run it, Gary Dillabo is from Boston. Gary Dillabo is from Boston. This man went downtown and spent $300 million in this city in the course of 90 days. This man has tremendous power to influence this city that my ancestors built with their own bodies, and they're buried in its land. They are resting in peace in this land, and I'm going to join them. And so we really need to start checking who's coming in here. What motive do they have for coming into this city and exploiting what it is that the city still has not confronted, that they built its wealth off the exploitation?
Thank you, Paul. So we drafted this memo, as everybody probably took away from our joint meeting with the water district, that these issues are very complex. It requires really a framework and a roadmap to get to a win-win. And so we created this memo to really structure that framework to get us to where we want to go in terms of being able to work with and develop these projects with the water district. I do want to make one slight modification to our memo, and that is on item 2, where we say coordinate with Valley Water to negotiate and enter into a third-party agreement with a mutually agreed upon consultant to facilitate negotiations meetings between the city and Valley Water. So I just want to put in that one slight change. It was already implicit in our memo, but I wanted to make it explicit that we want to have a mutually agreed upon consultant. And that is it. If I see Councilmember Davis, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just a question. Is this to be agendized for the entire council?
Yes, it's actually already on the agenda for the 13th.
Thanks. So I will move per the vice mayor's amended memo.
Great. Thank
Second.
you. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the update to the January 2021 to June 2021 Community and Economic Development Committee Work Plan. And I don't see any public speakers.
Move approval.
Thank you. Get a second. All right, and
Hi, this is Tony. Blair raised his hand for this.
yeah, I see a hand raised and then dropped. Go ahead, Blair.
My hand was up the whole time. Thanks for catching it. Thank you. Just really quickly, this one's a real quick one. I just wanted to reiterate from my first public comment today that this has an issue about earthquake retrofit issues that Jackie was working on way back in 2015 with all the rent ordinance issues we were dealing with at that time. I don't know how well that went over at that time, but I think it made a system incredibly easy and decent. And I think a lot of people were just scared to tears about it. And I understandably, but yet, how do we learn that process to talk to each other about the importance of such programs and what they can work towards and accomplish at this time? I hope that's the goal of San Jose City government, is you're organizing yourselves to explain these sort of things to the public, and there can be public debate and dialogue and community meetings about all of this and how we build our future. I mean, it was asked a few times by council persons yesterday, what are we organizing ourselves around, in this time of COVID as we're starting to into our next stages of it? How are we going to organize ourselves? And I think that is, we have to really begin to talk about the social safety system we're building and the system of care and health needs and rent forgiveness, and that people don't get hurt. Why not take the time this summer to explain all of this and have a review of what exactly we're doing? And we just have to build our future in those good terms. It can't be this continuous, secretive, you'll learn as you go kind of thing, and on a need-to-know basis. That's ridiculous, I mean, make it an open, shared process. We are building a community future. And some have really blown that with this COVID issue. We're building wonderful things out of the era of COVID, but the most important thing is that we don't hurt ourselves in the future in building our future good practices. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is update to the January 2021 to June 2021 Neighborhood Services and Education Committee Work Plan. And Paul has his hand raised. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. In September of 2019, I attended The Kids We Lost. It was a documentary that was sponsored by Councilman Peralez's office. And I sat there in the audience amongst nothing but educators, probation, mental health, juvenile, all, I don't know how many were like me, but nonetheless, I was there and I was experiencing what had happened in juvenile hall between 1980 and 1986. And it was visceral. It hit to the core of my spirit, not necessarily because of what happened, but because human beings profited from it. Human beings built reputations of authority and integrity and social status within a community because they were the overseers of what happened to me and thousands of other juveniles at that time. Now, if you look at, like I said, I would like somebody to go and look at the records of the juvenile hall injuries that happened. Now, you see, if I'm a ward of the court and the court is taking jurisdiction over my body, am I not qualified to being a victim of the city's domestic violence? That the city itself committed acts of domestic violence upon my body by virtue of the fact that the county of Santa Clara took jurisdiction over my body over that of my parents. And they exposed me to this and have absolutely no conscience about the moral and ethical implications of maintaining that system that eventually leads to prison. And that's what concerns me about this policy, is that the education and the behavioral problems that arise out of third graders is being monetized. And they're able to scientifically use that information to determine how many prison beds they're going to need in the future. This is a very critical.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. You know, it was a real important Smart Cities meeting last week that talked about 4 and 5G and digital, bridging the digital divide issues, digital literacy programs that this agenda item is about. And I hopefully can just remind the importance of, you know, open public policies, civil rights, and civil protections. They can be a really cool function of a digital literacy program. So while you're teaching digital literacy to kids, teach them the merits and value of civil rights and civil protections and good open public policy and just good community practices and democratic practices. I mean, the stuff I'm working on, it is multi-layered. It has a variety of functions and services and help it can offer to, it's really a part of the All Boats Can Rise strategy. And it is a great teaching tool for young people, I think, for them to get an education about civics and what is our good practices that works in a form of equality, I feel, and that it can teach civics to both East Side and West Side kids really well. And I'd be interested to see what develops out of those civic lessons in the next 20 years. And I hope it becomes a part of the digital literacy program to better comprehend what we're building at this time. COVID-19 knocked us for a loop, but yet we were building 4 and 5G ideas way before COVID-19 that really wanted to do well to bridge the digital divide. And it's open public policies that can help bring us through the new era of sustainability ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee, Councilmember Arenas.
Thank you, Chair. So I did have a discussion with Jill and Angel regarding this item. And Angel, I just want to confirm that in lieu of this report coming to NSC, that we would have a verbal report come in sometime before that annual report is scheduled in the fall. Correct?
Yeah, Councilmember, what we decided, what we agreed to was an info memo that would go out, that would give an update on what's happening right now, and then in the fall come back with a more comprehensive report out.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It's just important for us to be on the same page as our library director, who's heading our digital literacy and all digital action items, so that we are all supporting our children as you know, patterns are changing and needs are changing, and in case we have some gaps in services as we work with our own respective school districts, I think it's just important to stay connected. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I'll move to accept.
Great, thank you.
Second.
Second. So it was moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas?
Yes.
Cohen?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Peralez?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, on to open forum. And we have a couple of speakers. Go ahead, Paul. You're first.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Arenas for the very humane and very authentic extension of your understanding of what it is that I am experiencing, have experienced, and what I'm sitting with now. Experiencing 2 evictions within 1 month, of one as a result of a sexual assault and the other one as a result of my reporting that this house was lacking COVID protocols. And as a result of my reporting that I was evicted, because the man that ultimately died, which compelled the reason why I called the county health department in the first place, he's dead. He died in the house. And 2 days prior to that, I filed the report because I was concerned about his safety. It was that advocacy that got me evicted. And I'm homeless on the street now, wandering around, just available for anything. There was a man that had a gun that was pointed at another human being right there in front of City Hall. He was in the rotunda at 3 o'clock in the morning. Check the reports. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm passing by, I'm hearing somebody screaming, help, 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 he's got a gun. I show up and the dude starts backing up. He starts backing up off me and he's like fiddling around in his pockets. This is what I'm exposed to on the street because I'm vulnerable now. And so I already know I don't have much time left. I can see that. And so the urgency of the moment and what it is that I have to offer my city in terms of shifting its moral and ethical universe to right it in the name of justice has never been more important to me than it is now. So to you, Councilwoman Arenas, thank you.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for a good meeting today. Thank you for the patience, to hear once again, my feelings about open public policy and with technology. I think I've really labeled well my feelings today. I hope it can really help. The meeting, I wanted to quickly offer my feelings about the Charter Review Commission. I think it's been really interesting. I've been trying to describe, my feeling and importance of, I think, the work of open public policy. In 10 years' time, we're going to be talking about our community democracy in a lot different terms than we are now. We can be, in terms that really invite an equality, more of an equality of everyday community, and that what the relationship they have with their government. And I know that's hard for you to hear as local government, but something is possible that can safely grow and safely build a process, that is including reimagine, that is including ideas of equity. We're not going to be the same in 10 years' time. We're building a future on a more equal level, playing field as well, of how to address issues, and where the community, it's a more, a democracy of the individual compared to a democracy as a republic. And that's the key term, how to understand what we're building. And we can do that with good steps and do it well. And open public policy can really help with that process. We have guidelines, we have legal precedents. The Charter Commission is understanding that. They've offered some good words. And I think we're leaving the initial strong mayor ideas that Mayor Liccardo had, and we're thinking of community and council, and that's cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all for public comments. This meeting is adjourned.